Welcome to Kiss the Reviews. I'm Armando. That's Corey. And today we're doing 2006's Something New. This movie came to us again via request. I know, as Corey's mentioned before, you guys have done a fantastic job with the PayPal account and, getting your movies to the top of the request list. So thank you guys for that. And yeah, we'll continue to put the link down below. We'll have the little crawl at the bottom with it, but it's paypal.com and search at Kiss the Reviews. And there you go. Send us some cash, $1, $1 million, whatever. And we'll your movies take precedence. So
yeah, I'll go ahead and say, like, if you want us to review The Room, for example, send us more money. But if you want us to review, like, The Godfather, you can send us $1.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, before we get into the cast of Something New, if you want to reach out to me or Corey on Twitter, you can reach out to me at Junior D's. You can reach out to Corey at Idle Poncho. And let's get into the cast of Something New. This had a lot of people in it. This movie stars Sanaa Lathan as Kenya McQueen, Wendy Raquel Robinson as Cheryl, Simon Baker as Brian Kelly, Mike Epps, my guy, as Walter, Donald Faison, also my guy, as Nelson McQueen, Alfre Woodard, my gal, as Joyce McQueen, Earl Billings as Edmond McQueen, and Blair Underwood as Mark Harper.
Blair Underwood rocks a mustache better than anyone since Billy D. Williams.
Absolutely.
That fucking mustache is beautiful every time. And I don't know how he does it. Have you ever tried to grow a mustache?
A mustache by itself on this face, not so good. I look more like Tom Selleck than Billy D. Williams with just a mustache.
I look like Kip from Napoleon Dynamite with just like the littlest, reddest, pencil thin, gross mustache. It's so bad.
No, you either look like a pedophile or you look like Blair Underwood in this. Like, there's no in between. But
100%.
This movie stars Sanaa Lathan, which is why we got the request. And she plays Kenya, who's a successful accountant, who's all about her career, doesn't have time for anything else. She's a workaholic. She's kind of worked her way up through the ranks at her office. And her friends keep urging her to date more and stop with her ideal black man checklist.
Yeah, if you were, I think if you were going to write a character, man or woman, that was closed up, bottled up, a workaholic, kind of like this would be the blueprint.
Yes.
Because even in her social life with her girlfriends, dude, like until she actually starts dating, she almost has no personality. She's such a hard ass.
Yes.
And it's just like, Jesus Christ, like, how do you have friends?
It's got to be hard to keep friends with as rigid as she is. Because we get into, we get into this later in the movie, but like, she hates animals. She's freaked out by any insect. She has all of these like really rigid views on life because she's all about her career.
Yes.
So how she makes time to even have drinks with friends is beyond me. But while she's getting coffee and waiting for her blind date, she meets Brian Kelly, who is her blind date. She's taken back because he's white and he realizes she's uncomfortable, and the date basically ends as she makes an excuse because of work things.
Dude, I loved him calling her out too. Like, you've gone through everybody in the restaurant making sure they know you're down. Like, are you uncomfortable? I thought that was fucking awesome. And it became clear pretty quickly why we got this. And ladies, I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm a lot like Simon Baker. I get it. No, I loved him calling her out in this scene. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. It was very much something I would have done in the same situation.
Yes.
Because that's so uncomfortable, and I get it. First off, bad move on your friends for not knowing that would be maybe a hang up for you.
Yeah.
And for not warning you. Like, by the way, he's white.
Yes.
But give him a chance. You're going to have some fun.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, fuck it. His name's Brian Kelly. Good luck.
Leah described you perfectly.
By the way, how times have changed where in 2006, a Starbucks was that full of black people and no manager called the police on them.
No shit, right?
That's crazy how 14 years, 15 years has just completely flipped that on its head. Now,
Yeah, no kidding.
one black dude walks into a Starbucks and they're like, shit, call the cops.
Stop stealing our Wi-Fi. So while at a party at Whitney Cahan's house, Kenya asks her about the beautiful landscaping, and she's then introduced to the landscape architect, Brian Kelly. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, that same Brian Kelly. So they get into the conversation about his landscaping and being a landscape architect. Okay, I want to stop briefly right here. I don't want to dwell on this, but I know guys who own landscape companies. I know guys who landscape that work for companies. Not a single one of them has described themselves as a landscape architect.
Well, this was set in LA, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think in LA, that's what they refer to themselves as.
Apparently.
Just saying.
So Kenya then considers hiring Brian to do her landscaping on her new house that she bought. The backyard's a fucking disaster. It looks like a haunted house in the backyard. And he shows up to look at the property and like give her a quote, and he brings his dog. We obviously know here that she hates dogs and insects and outdoor activities and yada yada. But I'm going to go ahead and insert a don't do that here. Hi, anybody who owns a business? If you're the owner or, I don't know, a sales guy, hell, anybody that works for the business and you're like, hey, I'm going to show up and do a quote for you and, you know, we'll get all the pricing, but don't bring your animals. You don't know how people react to animals, allergies, all the yada yadas that are involved. I don't know, pet hair in the house. But this dude just brings his dog like, yeah, this is my coworker Frank. He's gonna help me with the quote I'm gonna give you.
Hey, that Maxie doesn't do dogs, so you're gonna have to wait in the truck, okay?
You're running a business. Don't bring your animal
Exactly.
to a client's house when you don't know anything about them. But now then you do know something about them, you're still like, man, fuck it.
You want to talk about some white people shit? That's some white people shit.
Dude, that's some hardcore white people shit.
So we flash back to Kenya at work. She's being considered for partner at her firm.
She is dealing with a clearly racist client herself.
Yes, absolutely.
And the guy who owns the business, I don't even bother to know his name, because as soon as he was like, oh, you're the accountant, should we wait on somebody else? I quit caring about him as a human being. Like, yes. I was just done with, like, oh, you're such a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But they illustrated very well, I think. And I hadn't heard this term before, but they illustrated very well what is referred to as the black tax.
Yeah.
In this movie. And you and I have discussed this ad nauseum on the telephone, where if I've told you, if I ever ran a business, I want nothing but black women in charge of my company.
Yep.
For this exact reason. They have had to work harder every step of the way. They're not, and I'm not saying every white guy or every white woman or every white person, but, big ass but, white people don't tend to double check their work quite as much. Just gonna say.
Just throwing that out there.
Just tossing it out there. Being a white person myself, I've seen it. I'm behind lines. I know. That's typically how it goes. It's just like, yeah, I did it. It's fucking perfect.
As it always is. Kenya then hires Brian to do the landscaping here.
Yes.
As she sees him working in the backyard, she notices and is taken back by his partially defined muscle tone and is totally intrigued by this.
Hot tip, she's into dad bods.
And we also get to see Kenya's brother Nelson, played by Donald Faison here. He comes over, gives her shit because he heard about her date with a white dude and he wasn't too pleased about it. And you get that whole scene and him bringing his new girlfriend, which, again, we get every scene that Donald Faison's in. He's got a new girl with him.
And I love his character because he is, again, white or black, that typical friend everybody has who he hasn't really done anything yet. Right?
Yeah.
Like we find that, like when you first meet him, you're thinking like, oh, dude, he's like wicked successful, just like she is.
Yeah.
He's driving a Jag. He's got a fine ass woman on his side, dressed nice. Like, oh, he's a successful dude. Turns out his parents did most of his shit for him, and he's like the lowest level kind of lawyer at like a production company.
Yeah.
I think it was Fox or something like that. So having him be the one that is so loud about her dating the white guy and being all up in her business about what her life needs to be like is so perfect, because we all know that motherfucker. We all know him, and he's a dick.
Yes. After this, you see Kenya and Brian getting closer while he's doing the work, and they're talking more. And then while sharing a dinner, Brian asks Kenya if she just doesn't do white guys, which, leads them into that conversation where he says here that like, oh, I don't discriminate, basically. I'll date anyone as long as they're a nice person, yada, yada, whatever. As long as I'm into them, I'll date. And I've dated white girls and black girls and whatever. Yeah. But as we see, and as I'll explain, it doesn't seem like he's dated any person of color or anybody outside of, like boiled chicken white chicks. Like,
he has definitely, there are very clear signs that he has never dated a black woman. I can tell you that.
Yes.
Namely, their after sex scene.
Exactly. And we will get to that.
As soon as his fingers started doing that shit, I'm like, oh, dude, what the fuck are you doing?
Exactly. Brian then takes Kenya hiking and getting her out of her comfort zone. It starts to rain. They take shelter under a tree where they kiss for the first time. And Kenya then recoils and Brian drives her home. After telling Brian that, hey, that shit ain't going to happen again, Brian then just comes into her house and they have sexy time.
Well, in fairness, he knocked on the door. It's like he kicked the door down. It's like, I'm the lumberjack. I'm here to fuck you.
Kind of what we get. I traveled 500 miles to give you my seed.
Lumberjack?
No, it wasn't like that.
He knocked on the door and shit. She opened it. They kissed. She had a chance to be like, I said no, but it was more like that. No, this is never happening again. Stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
As opposed to fucking stop, motherfucker. So I think he read the signs correctly.
No, he did. And in their post-coital bliss, they begin to talk, as you do, about their past, their families.
Why? Why do you talk after sex?
You do that. You start talking about things.
You do that. I don't do that.
Why would you do that?
Nothing intelligent or smart is coming out of my mouth. I'm still foggy brain.
I'm
still trying to collect the blood back into my brain.
That's true, but it's not like we saw his vinegar strokes and then like all of a sudden they were talking. Like, this is...
You're still laying naked ass in bed.
But here, Brian is feeling her hair and makes a comment about her weave. And I'm going to go ahead and stop right here, and I'm going to do my first don't do that. Hi, white people. After you've known a person of color for 10 seconds, don't ask about their hair. Ever. And you should probably wait until you're super close. And then you're still on thin ice. So tread lightly. And my advice to you is just don't. Unless the other person offers it up, don't even mention it. And definitely don't touch another person's hair. First of all, I don't care what color you are. You touch my hair and your ass is getting beat. Like, there's no reason for anybody to touch my hair. So
this neck above does not need to be touched by anyone.
For any reason.
No.
Like, even if my wife were to, like, touch my hair because maybe it looked dry, I don't know. But even if she were to touch my hair, I'd be like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like,
It's fucking weird.
Yeah. And don't ask, can I touch your hair? Like, all of the just leave it alone. Okay.
This entire conversation, I was just going, no! What are you doing?
Yes.
Holy shit, is this a weave? No! Don't do that!
Yeah.
Have you ever worn your natural hair? No! Don't do that! Just don't. I have known Black women for over 20 years. Friends, close personal friends. Never once have I ever made a comment about their hair other than to say, oh, you look lovely today.
Well, you
look nice today.
You want to know why I've never made that comment? Because I don't care.
No.
I don't care what your hair feels like. Hey, your hair looks good today. Good. Are we done? Like, that should be the extent of the conversation.
It's not a wig, right? But it's not your real hair either, is it?
People of color aren't your pets. Don't just fucking pat them. Don't touch them. They're human beings just like you are. Don't fucking touch them.
Yeah.
I don't like to be touched by anybody, basically. Like, if you're a stranger, don't fucking touch me. Even on the shoulder, I don't like it.
Yep.
I couldn't imagine what would happen if some fucking idiot walked up to me and was like, oh, that's nice hair, pat, pat, pat. Are you out of your fucking minds?
She then goes to the stylist and takes out her weave. And now Kenya and Brian are back to the hot and heavy after this.
That's the only way that relationship gets saved from that point on. Because I guarantee you they were writing this fucking script and they were like, all right, he asked about the weave. So is that the end of the movie? Like, they can't see each other anymore, right? And just the fact that she did it and actually liked her natural hair.
Yeah.
They were able to still date. Thank God.
And then we have a montage of them getting even closer, her warming up to the dog. And now she kind of likes dogs, keeping them in the house.
They don't really say how much time passes here, but I know they haven't moved in together.
No.
Like, they're just seeing each other.
Yes.
And we're rolling into their the housewarming party that she throws for the garden and now the garden unveiling and all that. This you want to talk about some white people shit? It ain't your house. He's like greeting everybody and like, hey, can I get you a drink? You're either doing one of two things that you should not be doing. One, you're acting like you own the house, which you don't. Or two, you're overcompensating because you're the only white face there. In which case, stop, because that's obvious too.
Yeah.
And it's fucking weird, dude. He just acts so weird this whole party.
Yeah, that whole thing is weird. And before the party, they go on this double date with her friend Cheryl and Cheryl's boyfriend Walter, played by Michael Epps, at the comedy club. Yes. And we see here for really the first, outside of the weave conversation, we see here that Brian is, even though he's portrayed as like, I don't see color and I date everyone, he's very uncomfortable with any discussion of race, even in joke form.
I think this is where, for me at least, this was the one shortcoming in the movie, is they made it seem the most of the movie like she was the one uncomfortable with the race being different in the relationship.
Yeah.
And it focused more on her. And I get it. She's the main character, as it should. But there are very clearly times where he's uncomfortable and it's just kind of, no pun intended, whitewashed. Where it's just like, hey, fidgets in his seat, but then he like kind of digs his way out of it. You know what I mean? It's really weird. And again, like if you're at a comedy store or any kind of thing where somebody is performing jokes and it is like, it's not a lecture, it's a comedy club.
Exactly.
You went to a comedy club. It's a fucking joke. If they hit too close to home for you, there's something wrong with you.
Exactly.
Because it's just a joke.
Yeah.
No comedian, like this is what cracks me up about comedians. And when people are like, oh, that set was like exactly what I was thinking. It's a joke. That's not what they really think.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, Patrice O'Neal, those guys are not walking through life like that.
Yes.
Because they wouldn't have a life if they did. They would never get anywhere if that's the way they thought really about shit. They're jokes. They're hyperbolizing a very real issue.
Exactly.
That's what he didn't get through this whole thing. And he acts like a complete fucking jackass.
Yes. Because after this, then we have the party in the backyard with the landscaping. And Brian here just, again, proves that he can't take a joke or roll with the punches. And he's super awkward around black people. And like this whole thing, you're the only white dude there. Fine, whatever, is what it is. But they start cracking jokes, and I think it's Mike Epps.
He's a spy. He tried to con me out of a barbecue technique earlier today.
Yeah, he said something about it, like, why you always doing that police pat on the back shit to me?
I mean, what is that police pat that you give me on the back all the time?
He is so uncomfortable with, again, those are jokes. And I don't care what group of people you're with, when they're teasing you about that, they're kind of feeling you out. Whether it's a new friend group or whatever the case may be. When you get jokes like that, they're feeling you out to see how cool you are. And for me, when you act like that, I don't really I'm going to walk away going, I don't like that dude. He can't take a goddamn joke.
Well, exactly. You don't have to be able to fire back at people. And in most situations, when you're the new guy, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't just be like, oh, fuck you. But also you shouldn't just be like, oh, they made a joke about me because I'm white. Yeah. There's a middle ground that you live in.
And then you have Kenya's brother again, who shows up with another new woman and introduces Kenya to Mark Harper, played by Blair Underwood here. And he's all sly and shitty about it, too. He's like, hey, where's Brian? Oh, he's over there? Cool. This is Mark. He's my buddy. Hey, why don't you talk? And here's a plan. And, as soon as Brian starts to come back over, he, slinks away. Yeah, come on.
Dude, this whole thing was fucked up. And even Blair Underwood kind of whoop, dips out. Everybody's, just playing Brian right now. It's fucking hilarious.
After the party, while shopping, Brian and Kenya discuss how her job's going. And we already mentioned the shitty racist client that she has.
Yep.
And then Brian asks Kenya to stop mentioning race. And that's where the argument begins in the grocery store or wherever.
Hi, white people. Uncle Corey here. Whether you like it or not, we don't deal with race on any kind of level, any kind of day of the year. I can go 365 days and not see a single racist act committed toward me. Facts. Black people, Asians, Latinos, anybody across the board cannot say that. So when they want to talk to you about race, one, don't get defensive because it's not about you. They're talking to you as a confidant, as a peer. So clearly they're not saying, you white person are fucking blah, 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 blah. They're just talking in general and maybe trying to open your eyes to some shit that you don't see. Two, don't tell them that you just need a break because you're exhausted from the race talk. It's been a day. It's one conversation in one evening. Yes. Do you have any idea how long black people have been putting up with race talk? It's been before America was a fucking country. So fucking just deal with it. It's not about you. Shut the fuck up and listen. And nobody's expecting you, whitey, to have a fucking answer to the problem. Because you don't.
I'm going to tack on to your little PSA here. Because whatever the fuck is going on in this scene, don't do any of this. Okay?
No.
That's that. And regardless of race, if you want to be in a relationship, let your significant other bitch about work. Just let them do it, regardless what it's about. Becky took the last fucking styrofoam coffee cup, or this person's an asshole. Let them talk it out. It's part of what being in a relationship is about. And if your partner's mentioning clients or coworkers being racist, don't tell them to stop bringing race into the discussion. It's called empathy, you fuckstick. Just let them talk.
You got that?
Yeah, I got it.
I learned this at a very young age. because I watched White Men Can't Jump as a kid. And Wesley Snipes has one line in there that is just salient advice for anyone, which is listen to the woman. Just listen.
That's it. That's it.
That's it.
Kenya then goes house hunting with Mark here. She gets pissed at Brian. She's like, screw you, I'm out. She goes house hunting with Mark, and then they go to dinner. She realizes that they have more in common than she does with Brian. So they start to date here. And Brian, then after 2 weeks of zero communication, goes to Kenya's house to apologize for being insensitive.
And that he won't understand what goes on, but he'll empathize.
Yeah.
It took you 2 weeks?
To come up with that conclusion.
2 weeks? Was the fucking dictionary rented out at the library, motherfucker? What took 2 weeks for you to figure that out?
Yeah. It was a week and a half of him going, well, she better call me. And then 3 days of him like, well, shit, she didn't call me. I must have done something wrong. Let's replay that and see what I did wrong. And then going and apologize. Like, bro, it's been 2 weeks. Like,
yeah, it's done.
It's over. So she tells Brian that she met someone else, and Brian's sensitive ass gets his feelings hurt, and, you know, he gonna cry in the car, and then he goes home. We now get a few scenes of Kenya and Mark hanging out together and being addicted to work. These two seem like so much fun.
Oh, yeah, they're a blast.
Ooh.
And let me tell you, that sex is, there is nothing hotter than scheduling in your Outlook calendar sexual intercourse.
After, you know, these few scenes with them two, they see Brian and his date, which is his ex-girlfriend, at a mutual friend's wedding. It's awkward, and Kenya has an anxiety attack, questioning all her decisions about leaving Brian and dating Mark. And
I love that scene too. Where she's like, the nerve of him to bring that white woman here. Her friends are all like, you dumped him. What are you talking about? I fucking love that scene so much, dude.
It's such a great scene. And the next scene is Mark and Kenya having dinner at her parents' house with her family. This scene's great too, and I love it because her mom, at the mere mention of Mark and Kenya possibly at some point in the future getting married, has a full-on fucking orgasm.
Oh my God. Let's just forget the coffee and pop some champagne.
She seems very similar to the character in Love and Basketball.
Yes.
Where she played her mother as well.
Yeah.
Except for, like, she's just different. Like, just the little quirkiness in this is fucking phenomenal. I love her as an actor. She's so great.
And this goes back to Love and Basketball in so many ways. As we talked about Q from Love and Basketball, race typically doesn't seem to matter when it comes to being a dick. The more money you have, you just kind of become more of a prick. And and you see that in some of these scenes. Like,
oh yeah, Blair Underwood is like the stalest human being I have ever seen in my life in this movie. Like when he sit down on the couch after dinner, and they're like, huh, you'll like this story. This is how we met. I told her we were going house hunting, but she didn't know I knew how to pick a house out. That's an entertaining story? Are you shitting me?
Yeah, that's why I love those two together. They're great at cocktail parties. Afterwards, Mark takes Kenya back to his place, and she breaks up with him here. Is like, yeah, this shit ain't working out for me. I'm out of here. And she then goes to her friend Cheryl's house and gets advice from Cheryl and Walter about basically everything.
I would like to know how much of this scene, specifically Mike Epps' would-be monologue, got left on the cutting room floor. Because it seems like he was actually going to have like a monologue. Yeah. And lay down some wisdom for everybody. And it really just got cut to like, yeah, he's white, but I talked to him and he's a pretty nice guy.
I was a little suspicious of the guy when I first met him.
If you saw A Star is Born with Bradley Cooper, the remake.
Yep.
and Gaga. Well, Dave Chappelle has a scene here where he kind of is sitting down with Bradley Cooper and has this kind of prophetic talk to him, right? Where he's laying down it's fucking great scene. It's brilliant. Mike Epps was supposed to, in my mind, have that exact same kind of scene.
Yep.
And for some ungodly reason, it just fucking didn't make the movie. And I really wish it would have, because it would have, I think they could have tied it up a little bit nicer on how she wants to go back with him and how fuck what everybody else thinks. Like her dad has to come back and say it again at the end.
Yep. Yep.
For some reason. And I wish it would have been Mike Epps in that monologue, because it was really setting up to have that good moment.
Kenya then, shoots back to her at work. She makes partner after the piece of shit racist client meeting, like the final client meeting where she gives her suggestions and you shouldn't buy this company and yada yada. And he's like, well, I can't do that because you're black. Whoa, dude.
Yeah. This again was a great scene. They set it up really well too.
Yes.
Where it's again the first person shot from her point of view. And the table just seems so long, and all of those white faces at one time, like a Village of the Damned kind of way, just fucking whoop, turn and look at her all at once for this answer. I felt it.
Yeah.
I felt anxious watching that. And then, to have that fucking guy, can we talk in private? You fat jowled motherfucker. Like, just, if you knew so much about fucking business, what the fuck are you in here asking questions for, motherfucker? You didn't need to come to us, did you? You could have done this on yourself. You came to me asking questions about your business and how to make more money. I'm telling you how to do that. How fucking dare you be like, well, she's black and that's not what I want to hear. I need a white man, please.
The next scene is the Cotillion Scene. And then Kenya here has many outbursts in protests of the debutante ball and all the goings on. Her and her mother get into an argument, and Kenya races off to the bathroom. She's like, I've had enough. She goes off to the bathroom, and this is where we get her father going to the bathroom and giving her some good life advice.
Her dad's advice here is awesome.
Yeah.
Because it's basically, what we just kind of alluded to earlier, which was what Mike Epps should have said. Fuck everybody else.
Yep.
If you like him and he likes you, who gives a, like, he's white. He's not a Martian, which I thought was a fucking hilarious line.
That is a great line.
The boy's just white. He ain't a Martian.
It's almost like the whole social media thing. Like, if you see all these beautiful pictures on social media of people on the beach and this and that ain't their fucking life. I promise you. They have no reason to, you have no reason to be jealous of them. You have no reason to listen to what other fucking people are telling you about your business.
Yep.
Period.
Exactly.
That's it. That just it drove me crazy that this whole movie, she was so obsessed with everybody else's opinion.
After this scene, she leaves to go find Brian. And her brother loans her his Jaguar, and she races off into the night, peeling out, and goes to find Brian. She gets to the community garden, and she can't find him. And Brian's dog comes trotting around the corner and seeks Kenya out. She then sees Brian and gives her monologue about how in love with him she is. They kiss, and then they drive back to the Cotillion. For some strange reason, but whatever, I'm not here to judge. Brian takes the mariachi suit off one of the mariachi guys, and they dance in front of everyone, and now she apparently doesn't care that everybody's watching.
This was very easily called. As soon as she starts talking about the debutante ball to him and how it's all black people there, and he asks her immediately, like, oh, you wouldn't be comfortable with me going.
Yeah.
You knew that's how it was going to end. That was going to be the final acceptance.
Yeah, that's
her bringing him there.
This isn't an Alfred Hitchcock movie. Like, this isn't like a murder mystery type. So.
No. If I'm Simon Baker in this move, and you were like, you need a jacket and a suit to get into this party, let's take the mariachi guy shit. I'm going, nah, fuck that. We'll go to next year's one.
Well,
there's no that seems to me more insulting than it would be to walk in there in your jeans and a t-shirt smelling like fucking garden manure.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Here's my advice to Brian. Hey, Brian. First off, buy a suit. if for no other reason, you may someday have to go to a funeral. So just have a suit with a dress shirt in your closet.
Yeah.
Second, I know you're in a t-shirt, you're this like t-shirt and jeans guy, but at least tuck the fucking t-shirt into the pants of the mariachi suit. Give some sort of semblance that you kind of know what clothes are and how those work.
The dad starts laughing at it, which was fucking hilarious as well.
Yes.
From there it goes and they're dancing at their wedding?
Yeah, the final scene is at their wedding. We also get an appearance by Cliff Clavin here, which I would assume is Brian's dad because he's the only other white dude at this wedding.
Yeah, that was a weird cameo. That's never brought up. Like, again, there had to have been some sort of shot left on the editing floor where he's like, Dad, I'm dating this black girl. And he's like, I don't know, son. Let's go to Cheers and talk about it or something. Because I don't understand why that cameo was necessary. But it was there. Fuck it.
You only really needed, like, I don't know, 3 random white people. Like, maybe his dad, his mom, and a friend or whatever. Like, to show that, like, oh, this is his family or whatever. There was no mom there. I don't even know if there was mention that he had a mom or maybe she.
No, that probably was left on the editing room floor. She was going to have no part of that family anymore.
It was just Cliff. And Cliff was just like, hey, and there was no mention that it was even his dad. It could have been his weird, like, pee-pee touching uncle. We don't know. It's
That's
just
right.
Cliff's just there, just like, hey, congratulations, guys.
What else you gonna do with it?
What I don't like about rom-coms is the comedy isn't funny. There's enough funny comedy scenes in this movie that made me laugh.
Oh, yeah.
So I did like that about it. But, I mean, at the end of the day, like, all the actors did well, the, director, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it was just like, meh. It wasn't great. It wasn't horrible. It was just there.
Yeah, this, I might be crazy, and I probably am, but it seemed to me like this was a little bit like an interpretation on Great Expectations. You know what I mean? Like a little bit of role reversal, but he's kind of the outcast, if you will, who's, into his art. And she's more affluent and well-to-do and yada, yada, yada. Seemed like that. I mean, look, it's a good movie. I've seen way worse rom-coms. Way worse. Especially ones that have tried in any way to explore race. It's just like, Jesus Christ. That being said, though, again, it's a good movie, but it's kind of just a good movie.
No, that's it.
You know what I mean? Like, I was very thankful that nobody tried to teach Simon Baker how to dance in this. I was glad Simon Baker never put on FUBU or a fucking do-rag and tried to do something.
Yes.
Everybody stayed in their lane, so to speak, which was nice. We missed those tropes. But yeah, I mean, look, it's a good movie. I definitely wouldn't tell anybody not to watch it. But if somebody's like, hey, what's a great romantic comedy to watch? I don't know if this would necessarily be the first one.
No, it wouldn't necessarily be the first one for me either. But I mean, like you said, it's a good movie. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's just a good movie. And I know
the actors. I connected in some way with all of the actors, whether they pissed me off or I liked them or I felt for them, whatever.
Yeah,
everybody did great. The script was really good. Again, I know there's a director's cut of this somewhere. That's the one I want to see because everything that kept it from being like a wow, this shit fucking hit me, I think was left on the editing room floor, and I think it's pretty obvious.
Oh, I think so too. I couldn't agree with you more. But that's all I got for this. Do you have anything else?
I don't think so, man. Hit us up on PayPal. Send in those priority requests. We love it. And, if not, well, we're just going to keep doing your requests anyway. We're just going to do it our way. So
exactly. So for Corey, I'm Armando. This is Kiss the Reviews. And this was 2006's Something New.